In this episode of the East Coast Drive, we first go to Tharangambadi or Tranquebar, which is a seaside town by the coast, also having a lot of Danish history. So we explore its museum that lies beside the sea. We then get to the very fertile Kaveri Delta region across Velanganni. After that, we head to the place where the Vedas have said to be originated, the Vedaranyeshwara temple in Vedaranyam. And also, Vedaranyam has a beautiful beach that can be explored, especially if you're game to drive on the beach. We then proceed to the Ramaar Padham, where Rama is said to have come here to absolve his sins for killing Ravana. A little bit of salt pan drives, and finally we reach Kodiyakarai, which is the international border with Sri Lanka. All that and more, now let's get started in the actual vlog. So it was around 4 p.m. after we started from Killai. We stopped by this beautiful site. Our car suddenly noticed that we were near a combination of what we could see as an estuary where the river was meeting the sea, and also a lot of marshland and salt pans, and that landscape got us hooked. It was lovely to observe the patterns that the land and the water formed as it led to the sea. As I sent the drone into the sky, I realized that this place looks beautiful from the bridge. Tharangambadi is a town in Tamil Nadu's coastline, 285 kilometers away from Chennai. Its earlier name was Tharangambadi. The beach of Tharangambadi is said to be one of the most ozone-rich stretches in the world. The ozone content is very high during the summer seasons of April and July. Now, through the drone, I also noticed that there was a fort in the distance, and we had probably missed the turn to Tharangambadi. The fort was built in 1620 to safeguard commercial trade interests. It was time to see the fort. So here we are, finally, Tharangambadi. So right besides the sea is the museum as well as the fort. The museum is inside the fort. I'm just going to quickly go ahead, take a look at what's inside the museum, and then go hit the sea, which is slightly raging at the moment, but it looks like fun to be at the sea right now, because there is some amount of warmth from the heat that comes from the evening sun, and of course the little evening chill breeze that has just started to set in. So it's a good time to get in. But first, museum. Inside the museum, the replica of the fort greets you as you step inside. The fort was built by the Danish in the land that was ceded by King Ragunatha Nayak. The rent for those 8 kilometers of the coastline was apparently 3,100 rupees annually. The Danish built the fort to have a hold on the important Coromandel Coast maritime trade and also used this to collect taxes from the locals of Tharangambadi. Some of the artifacts inside the museum talk about the Danish rulers who set foot in the land and then move to the actual photos of the museum taken from outside. There is also a list of historical ships that have arrived at Tranquebar. And there is where some historical context lies. The Danish apparently reached Sri Lanka first and had done a similar deal for controlling the port towns in exchange for money, silver, weapons, and gunpowder for the local kings. Artifacts that are a reproduction of the original letters sent between the Indian king from Thanjavur and the Danish are shown in the museum. With that evening visit, it was time to leave Tharangambadi. We planned our night halt at Velanganni as it was closer to Vedaranyam. Before we went there, we stopped over at a couple of temples in Tirukadayur and Tirunellar. It was post 9 pm when we reached Velanganni and went and had our dinner. 500 or 600 kilometers, but we've been driving from 7 am in the morning. So we are right now just crossed Nagapattinam and we are hitting Velanganni. You can see the church there. So I can see the church while driving from here. And we're just crossing an estuary and we booked a hotel, I think on Make My Trip, which is apparently 100 meters from the sea. So I'm really looking forward to waking up to the view of the sea tomorrow morning. And it's so gratifying to explore a land that's like my own land, Tamil Nadu, but I've just not made the time or the effort to go through. So here we are.
Good morning from Velanganni. So we came here last night and I just heard that the sea is nearby, but I didn't get to see it. But I can show you now that we're really very close to the sea. And this was our room, very functional, air-conditioned room, and it costs about 1,400. It's called Annai Bay. That is the view of the lagoon, the estuary, and of course our car by this little town of Velanganni.
So we are in Vedaranyam right now. We left Velanganni about an hour back. Very interesting roads, paddy fields on both sides. There is the Vedaranyam temple. We're trying to see if we can find some place to eat. Vandi engada irukkuradhu?
We are just entering the beach road. moving towards Vedaranyam beach now.
அப்பா 7 இட்லி 3 வடை
நல்லா இருக்கு ரெக்கார்டிங்ல.
80 ரூபா தான்டா.
ஏண்டா ஒரு இடத்துல ஒரு தோசை 80 ரூபாடா.
ஆனந்தபவன்ல சொல்றேன். So finally approaching Vedaranyam beach. We just had good breakfast. 7 idlis and 3 vadais for about 81 rupees. Where do you get that in the city? Surprising they have a walled entrance. Wow, is that the sea?
Yep.
That is the sea. It looked like salt pans, but we'll also be seeing some salt pans today. Vedaranyam is very famous for. Of course, Vedaranyam has the Vedaranyeshwara temple. But apart from that, these salt pans, they're not very active right now. I hear the season for them is when the summer is at its peak, which is April, May. So you're not seeing salt literally out there, but these are the salt pans where salt is literally dried and manufactured. You get that rock salt. Is that right?
Yep.
So we've just crossing these salt pans and finding our way to Kodiyakarai. Kodiyakarai is also known as Point Calimere in English. It's typically, while India has many points that you could say is the last, but Kodiyakarai is important because it's very close to the international border with Sri Lanka. So they say it's about 17 kilometers. Interestingly, Kodiyakarai also has a spot where the Ramayana historically has a mention where Rama wanted to assess where Ravana could have gone. So he reached the end of the landmass and then used that point, which is now called as Ramaar Padham, very similar to what it is in Rameshwaram. We've just realized that we can't get to the Point Calimere National Park or Kodiyakarai National Park, and as a result we now need to, we're just hitting the end of the coast, and apparently there's a road there and there's no police here, so I'm guessing we can just see the place where the coast, one of the places where the coast manifests, ends. So we're on our way to Kodiyakarai. This is the whole village is Kodiyakarai, but we're trying to find one point in the coastline where technically it's the international border. It's adjoining the Bay of Bengal and the Gulf of Mannar. The park straight comes a little further down when you go to Rameshwaram. But here we are, and I see a huge tower here. I don't know what that is for. Is that for mobile phone signals, or is that for intercepting other signals that may be coming in the area, because it's a potentially international border?
Watch me, just follow every move. Touch me, let me know you want it too. Don't have what you need, but I got what you want, babe. No, we don't have to leave. The night is still young. All we need is now. Don't ever let me go. We got the whole night.
So here we are at Kodiyakarai or Point Calimere. Not exactly Point Calimere, but slightly right to the point where the right angle is there in Tamil Nadu's coastline. So it's been quite a journey to coming here, 350 odd kilometers, and lovely drive along the coast. And now we have to go back all the way to Chennai. But before I go, I'm going to soak in views of this place.
Slowly